In this session, we are going to talk about the synchronization of slices. Synchronizing slices in Power BI allows you to apply filters from one slicer to multiple report pages, enhancing the user interactivity and consistency across the different visuals. Now, how can you do it in Power BI screen? So, let's say that you're working with this report, and over here there are multiple pages. So, there is Africa region, EU region, Canada region, and you want to create a slicer which should affect all of them. So for that, what you decided is that you should create a slicer, and that slicer is let's say date slicer. So let me remove this button and let me decrease the width of it, for example. To create new slicer, I can go in the visualization option, and over here I can find the slicer option. Now this slicer would contain some date field. So I will drag and drop this date over here. Now, what the user wants to do is they want to see the data only from 2011 to 2012. They are not interested in 2014 data. So they decided to use the slicer, and they are only looking at now the data of 2012, let's say. And you can see the values are changing over here. If you go in the other report page, for example, EU, you can see right now this value is 949, the sum of discount. Let's go back to the Africa region and let's increase this result. Again, go back to the EU. Still, you can see the value that is showing over here is 949. That means that whatever changes you are making over here in this slicer are not affecting the other report pages. So we have already talked about the filters. When you are working with the filters option, you have this option of applying the filter on all pages, but this is filter and this is related only to the developer. So if a developer is applying filters, they can transform the data according to the basic conditions, but it doesn't give the user the capability to format this data according to their selves. So what we can do is we can use the synchronize slicer option. Here we have this view option, and in that I have this synchronization slicer option. Once you click on it, you will see that this new pane has appeared, which says synchronize slicers. So you can click on any slicer and you will see the details related to that slicer. For example, the first part is the page name. It would show you all the pages that are right now in your report. Then the next part is this synchronization icon. So it means that these all pages are being synchronized with this slicer. Then we have the visibility page. It means that on which particular page the visual would be shown. And by visual, I mean the slicer. So let's say currently I turn everything off. That means that if I'm trying to apply this slicer, it won't be affecting any pages. Now I want this slicer values to be affecting Africa, EU, and Canada page. So for that, I can select Africa, EU, and Canada page. Now, I don't want to see the slicer on every page. So for example, if I go to this EU page, you can see this slicer is appearing over here, just beneath that page navigation. Also in the Canada, if I go, you can see this slicer is appearing over here in the top. So I need to then correct the position of this slicer and I need to adjust it everywhere. But I don't want to see it on every report page. So for that, what I can do is I can select the slicer. Over here, there is this visibility option. So I will turn off the visibility on every page except the page where I made it or where I want to keep it. So in this way, I can then remove the slicer from other pages. So if you go to EU page and the Canada page, you will see the slicer no longer is showing over here, but it would be affecting. So let's say that I go again to the Africa region, and right now these values are showing me in terms of, let's say the sales is showing me 11.98 million. If I try to decrease the slicer range, you can see the values are changing. If I go to the EU region, right now, the sum of profit is 20.17 thousand. Again, if I adjust the slicer and see if the values are changing over there or not. So again, I will go back to the EU page. You can see the values are indeed changing. That means this slicer is affecting all the pages. So this would give the user the capability to adjust the slicer according to the need, and this would then change the data on all the other pages. Now we won't be talking about how to create different kind of slicers because we have already talked about how can we create different slicers in the slicers topic. So you can make different type of slicers and then only you have to select this synchronize slicer option, select the slicer and then turn on the synchronization and the visibility over here. It also has some advanced options. We won't be talking about these because this is the important part over here right now. So this was all for this session. Thank you.